Atari isn't known for its super powerhouse computers. In the wide production, the Atari TT is considered the most powerful Atari computer. However, there was the ATW 800. This was an Atari Transputer workstation that was actually a beast of a computer. It was released in 1987, or unveiled in 1987, and eventually released in 1989. It contained up to 17 T800-20 transputers. That -20 represents running at 20 megahertz. And at the time had some pretty significant horsepower. This card here is a modern recreation of that transputer, of some of the capabilities of the transputer. Some of the video capabilities, but then also the transputer portion of it as well. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the Atari Transputer. I don't have one. There are very few of them that are around. But also of this card and how it replicates some of that capability. We'll install it here in my Atari TT and explore just a fraction of the surface level of the awesomeness this can deliver. Let's get to it. A little more background on the Atari Transputer workstation, or ATW for short. It was an Atari system built with a modified Mega ST board as its kind of foundation, and for simple I/O. It also had a Blossom video board, video card, video board, whatever, however you want to refer to it. And then it also had the main motherboard, which contained 4 megabytes of RAM, and also one T800-20 transputer. And each one of those T800-20 transputers offered about 10 MIPS of processing power. This transputer main motherboard also had 4 additional slots, and in each of those slots would fit a farm card. And the farm card would each have 4 transputers on them each. So you could get 16 transputers from the farm cards in addition to the 1 transputer on the main board for a total of 17 transputers within the system. Each offering approximately 10 MIPS of processing power. With the system, the operating system, being designed for parallel processing at the time. And these were run together using that parallel processing capability. And kind of give an idea as to the processing power, I couldn't find some exact numbers or exact figures, but there was a nice interview with Dr. Kim King. He was the president of Perihelion Software, I think that's the name of it. And that he compared a 25 megahertz 386, somewhat of a contemporary of the time, to the ATW. The same activity that would take 3.5 hours to perform on the 386 would be completed in about 9 seconds on the ATW. Of course, I'm sure this is kind of a comparison of a best case scenario and rough numbers here and there, but in general, there's a number of examples that were similar in nature of the computing power of the ATW. And largely it had to be some software that was written specifically for parallel processing that could take advantage of all the transputer cards. Now, what would it run you? Well, this is a very bespoke system with bespoke add-in cards, etc. There weren't a whole lot made. I think there were a few hundred, 350, 400 or so transputers that were made in the world at the time. And so that base ATW system ran about 8,000 USD, with about $5,000 for each of the farm cards, with each having 4 transputers on it. So you're talking about, for a fully kitted out system, about $30,000 in 1989, or close to $80,000 in 2025. So a pretty beefy system at the time, but significantly less expensive than some of the Cray supercomputers and other of the parallel processing computers of the day. The system ran Helios, a Unix-like operating system with actually almost complete Unix compatibility. At least that's, as I was able to research it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure some experts out there that know how compatible it is with Unix, how compatible it isn't with Unix, but that's what I was able to find. All right, that's enough of the history on the ATW. The predecessor to this thing, this card here, which is the ATW 800/2. Yeah, that's what this is. What is its purpose? What is it exactly designed to do? Well, I'll put it in the words of Axel Muhr. He is the lead designer of this, and I think the visionary who kicked this off. There are plenty of other people involved, and I'll talk a little about them later, but Axel was the one who kind of kicked this off. And in his own words, it was to provide a plug-and-play version of an expansion which brings your Atari, whether it's an Atari Mega ST, Mega STE, or Atari TT, as close as possible to what the Atari Transputer workstation, the ATW 800, provided. That is, transputers, in addition to expanded graphics capabilities. And really, I mean, in my case, why I got this was initially to get the enhanced graphics capabilities in a nice form factor without having to try to source an original graphics card for the Atari TT. So that's number one. But then I'd also like to play around with the Transputer and see if I can boot up, load up, install HeliOS at some point in the future. Not in this video at least, though. While working on this project, Axel had 6 constraints he worked in. And I really liked how he describes it on his website. So you can go to his website, read through it yourself, but I'll describe it here myself as well. Number 1, be reasonably historically correct. And you can read what he means by reasonably historically correct. He means minimal FPGA. You could put a Raspberry Pi that could do all the above with this. He tried to kind of limit the amount of FPGA that's in here and just do just enough with this. Number 1, create a design avoiding obsolete parts wherever possible. So not having to destroy existing ET4000 graphics cards in order to source a graphics chip for it. But if there are historical real parts available, use them. Number 3, stay in an affordable price range because we want to not bankrupt. We don't want to bankrupt the community here. 4, simple installation. You look at this thing. This is literally plug and play and install drivers. And we'll install this and I'll kind of show that to you a little bit in a second. Number 5, play nice with other upgrades and peripherals, because I like how he puts it. If you're still playing with or using your Atari STs, many folks tinker as I do. Some people keep them perfectly virgin, but I like to tinker with mine. A lot of other folks like to tinker with theirs as well. And then number 5, offering some flexibility. Number 6, not 5, 6, offering flexibility. To accomplish all this, he assembled a team, a dream team, a Atari Transputer dream team, to work on everything from the graphics drivers to the Transputer code to the FPGA programming, driving the graphics as well. And that dream team was Axel Muhr himself, Wolfgang Heistad, Klaus Metter, Andrei Saiskova, please forgive me for pronunciation, and Mike Bristol. So, what does this card actually do in practice? Well, number 1, and this is the reason, again, like I mentioned, the reason why I'm getting this provides fantastic graphical capabilities based on the Blossom architecture, with access to 2 megabytes of VRAM from 16-bit color at 800 by 600 pixels to 16 by 1200 at 256 colors. All output through an HDMI-like port. It isn't officially HDMI, but it's HDMI compatible. I think there's some literally minuscule differences, but I don't think it outputs the sound through the HDMI port there. Well, HDMI compatible port, excuse me. And as I mentioned, the main reason why I got on board with this, it was initially to get the graphics capability. This just arrived late last week, so I haven't even popped it in here yet. So I am stoked to get it installed into this Atari TT and see what it can do. So there's also a couple different versions. Going back a second. Besides the graphics, what I'm laser focused on at the moment, there's on this card 2 slots, slot 1, slot 2. And that allows for 2 transputers to be installed on this card here. Using these USB ports on the back, my understanding is you can connect to externally even more transputers to provide even more of that parallel processing horsepower if you wanted to. Which is the main feature for that. And that's it for the VME version. And when I say VME, the VME version is this type of connector. The VME version goes with the Atari TT and the Atari Mega STE. The Mega ST version is a little bit different. It has all the same features as the VME version, but it adds a few extra ones, such as the ability to host different ROMs. So you can actually have up to 4 different ROMs hosted on the Atari Mega ST version. A coin cell battery, because in order to fit the Mega ST version of this card in the Mega ST, in most instances you might have to remove the AA clock battery location on the back of the case. Within the case, you might have to make a modification. And by doing that, you lose some of that battery backup, hence the coin cell battery. And then hopefully eventually, not yet, I don't believe it's ready yet, a hard disk interface. There is a micro SD slot right here that is slated for the Mega ST, not Mega ST or STE or Atari TT, a hard drive interface there, which is super cool for Mega ST. It actually adds a lot of capabilities. So let's get to installing this thing in the Atari TT here. All right, here we go. Move this off to the side. Remove the keyboard, at least for the moment. And this is actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Flip this guy around, see if we can get a good view of it. All right. And this is the VME slot here. This is opened up and removed. These are 2 serial ports, and they're just attached directly to the board with some ribbon cables. There's actually not a card right now in the slot. So I simply remove these 2 screws. And this little cover plate comes off with the 2 serial ports on it. It would be nice to come up with a way to have a metal plate. Right now I'm using a 3D printed one, which is fine, but it would be cool to have this nice metal plate here. And what I simply do is I just gently disconnect these cables from the motherboard for the 2 serial ports. As simple as that. Maybe you can see that a little bit better. All right. There is a slot that this goes in, and I need to find that nice little slot for it to go in. And boom, it's installed. As easy as that. Perfect. There we go. And maybe I'll come up with a different color of filament to print with. This was black filament, was what I had available. It's as simple as that. What we'll just do now, turn this around. No, let's just kind of, I'll tell you what I'm going to do because you won't be able to see very easily. We'll plug the HDMI cable in here and a VGA cable here. I believe if this works similar to other graphics cards and Ataris, it will boot using the VGA or the Atari ST video out first, and then boot up into a driver environment. And once the drivers are initialized, let's go here, power you in. What came with this? We have the disc, the ATW 800-2 disc, and a user manual, a spiral bound user manual, or whatever you want to call it, ring bound something. It is very nice. It is very pretty. And I have read through the manual. So we're going to stick that in there, put the keyboard back up, and boot from the floppy disk with the drivers in it. And here we go. I'm pressing the A key to force it to boot from the A drive. Not resident. Good. All right, now we're going to switch over to HDMI. Oops, wrong one. There we go. There we go. Now within this driver, I can select all these various resolutions, ranging from 640 by 400 all the way up to 1280 by 800 at 256 colors. Now, I think you can go higher, possibly. There are some other, it may have some issues doing that. This is the latest version of the driver, I believe. But we will pick, let's just pick something nice. 800 by 600 at 16 bits of colors. DOS installert. Maybe I need to boot up into TOS first. Let's do that. I thought this would run perfectly, but it looks like it's not going the way I like it would go. So we'll just reboot. VGA. There we go. That was weird. It doesn't like Mint VDI, NVDI. So we're going to boot into base instead. I think. Yeah, let's just go there. Might have had some problems. And we'll zoom in on the screen. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. Nope, a little bit more. A little bit more. There we are. Try to get the full screen in there. All right, on the floppy disk, there should be some installation media here. There we go. Install that program per the manual. Target drive. My boot drive is C. Now, depending on how this installed it, I'm not sure of the running order, and that will hopefully be able to boot into Xboot again. Just reset. Okay, and now it looks like it went into HDMI. So I might want to change the order of that, because I might want to boot into different. Oh, there we go. Cool. Let's pick this one. How does it look here? Perfect. All right. So I'm going to leave the base. I like a base, and let's do this. Running order. I'm going to want Xboot ahead of this. That might cause issues at some point in the future, but the reason why I want Xboot ahead of it is I may not always want to boot into using this video card here. All right, I might actually want to boot into the standard video output of the Atari TT. Although that can cause other problems, but for the moment, let's do this. When I say it might cause other problems, that means I'm going to have to always have a VGA monitor, a VGA cord, and an HDMI cord always hooked up to this guy. I may not want that. We'll see. All right, so that shows that there. Oh, good. Okay, that's base. I don't want NVDI or that. I want these guys. And since I moved it to booting after Xboot, it might cause issues again. Let's save that. No, it's working. Good. And we'll have this beautiful, gorgeous, large screen, hopefully. 800 by 600 with lots of colors. True color. Very pretty. Let me do something here. I want to see. Let's go to, I think, X view or Z view. Z view. Let's take a look at a pretty picture. should be on D. No, not D. That's Doom. There we go. Pictures. There we go. And we'll just open this lovely Fuji here. Make it full screen so we can take a look at all. Oh, didn't like it. Memory violation. Interesting. Let's try it again. Hopefully that works. Oh, maybe it's because I'm on, not on 256. I'm on true color? I don't know. There we go. All right, true color. Let's make this full screen and see what it looks like. And that is very pretty. Beautiful color depth. 16-bit colors, excellent. And let's just do this. All right, I didn't want to make the background look like that. Well, we'll figure out how to do that at some point. All right, we'll do a quick reboot into a different video mode because I'd like to try something else. And Basilisk will be super awesome. As you can see, the screen got even smaller, which is gorgeous. We have sound on, good, good, good. Native. Now, it's showing in grayscale, and it takes a while to boot up. A lot slower than the Falcon, but this is pretty darn cool, and the sound should hopefully work, as opposed to on the Falcon where the sound does not work. All right. It's in grayscale because it probably booted up previously in a different resolution. So we'll go here, we'll go to monitors, change it to colors. There we go. And we have some cool stuff. Stuff meaning games. And to be frank, this is a much better version of the original Civilization than what you had on the Atari ST. It just is. I actually think that the Mac version is even better than the VGA PC version. I think the graphics are better. It's better than the AG on the Amiga as well. All right, let's go. All right, we've been through the intro. I like Emperor. We'll go that many civilizations. We will go custom. We'll go. There we go, Norwegians. I like Norwegians. PO, Power Vintage. Zoom in here. Oh, that blows it out a lot. All right, there we go. Beautiful game, beautiful screen, very high resolution. Ah, it's too big, too much memory. That's crazy, isn't it? Just a little too big. All right, there we go. But we can move our settlers. Actually moves pretty quickly. Excellent. And that is Civilization. exit out of here. Let's quit. Yes, quit. Now we also have Civilization 2 and Warlords 2, a few games. I'm going to play around with a few more installs to see what else I can get running through Basilisk on this Atari TT, but it's a cool environment. Again, adds additional software at this high resolution, which is just one more thing that helps make this more fun to play around with. All right, all that messing around with the video capability has been a blast, but there's so much more to explore with this awesome Transputer card in this Atari TT. I am stoked to be able to at least get it working to begin with. It was very, very simple. This was not a hard experience at all. Got it up and running within a matter of minutes, to be frank. And the results are absolutely gorgeous. I had to get my Ultima IV in here somehow. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit more about this super fun project. Again, this community is an absolute blast to explore and get to know, and some amazing people doing some super amazing things. A big thanks to Axel for putting this together and having the patience to do this. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye.